Okay, Jeff. We're getting back to 2026 fantasy baseball leagues, and I have a bunch of pitching prospects for you. I've split them up into two camps: the pitchers who have already debuted in the big leagues, and I include some guys that are no longer prospect eligible, just because I thought it'd be more interesting. And then I have some guys who have not debuted. So I sent you a list of these debuted pitchers, and I wanted you to pick one that you're bullish on and one that you're down on. So I'll read them off just so everyone knows. Nolan McLean, Chase Burns, Cam Schlittler, Jacob Mizorowski, Trey Savage, Bubba Chandler, Connolly Early, Logan Henderson, Parker Messick, Jonah Tong, Brandon Sproat, Peyton Tolley, Robert Gasser, Rhett Lauder, Hunter Barco, River Ryan, Blade Tidwell, AJ Bilbao, Carson Wisenhunt. And again, some of these guys are no longer prospects, but I wanted to kind of give a comprehensive list of sort of unproven big league starters here. So which of these guys are you bullish on for 2026 fantasy baseball leagues?
Wow. I mean, it's a great list, right? Like, we don't typically have pitching prospects and guys that are technically, over their limits that are this talented. That you want to draft in fantasy is a whole bunch of them. I think I probably straight off would have said, McLean or Savage, just because of the success that we've seen in the big leagues already. And I think that's probably an easy answer, but I won't say that. I guess, there's some concern with the McLean thing and Vertigo that came out yesterday. I don't know if that's just them being extra cautious with the WBC stuff. I know the comment was that he could start the final if they make it, which I'll be there. That'll be awesome. So we'll see. I don't know how that's going to impact him. It's been the kind of thing for certain guys historically that's gone away and it hasn't been an issue. Other guys, it's hurt them for chunks of time. So, I think we got to be a little concerned with that with McLean, but not super concerned because the stuff is obviously really good. But the two names are going to call out. I think it's Chase Burns and Schlittler. I think Burns had some bad luck at times last year. I know it's not the greatest ballpark to pitch in, but we have seen power pitchers like that have some success in Great American Ballpark. And I just think from a talent perspective, the fastball is so good. The slider's so good. There's other secondary stuff there as well. And, having already gotten his first taste of the big leagues, having to make some adjustments. I think you started to see some of that down the stretch. Hadn't really ever been hurt before either. So I think there was some of that stuff factoring in. I've grabbed Burns as like my number 3, number 4 in a bunch of redraft leagues already this year. Maybe a little risky, but I just believe that the strikeout upside there is pretty big. And he's a guy that's handled innings throughout his career. So I think like 150 innings isn't crazy to get from Chase Burns this year. And then the other one is Schlittler. I think you look at, what Schlittler had to do to get to this point. Unlike some of these other guys we've talked about, Schlittler was not a huge prospect, was at Northeastern. At the time, going into his draft summer, Sebastian Keane was considered the bigger prospect than Schlittler. Over the course of that summer, started to change a little bit. When I saw him in the Cape Cod League, he was like 90 to 92. Every so often would pop a 93. The fastball shape was really inconsistent. His mechanics were really inconsistent. And, he put in the work, and credit to him to get to the point that he was at last year, that he was able to come up and be a really important part of, this Yankees rotation. I know that the underlying ERA estimators are a little bit lower on him than what his ERA was last year, but I still think this can be a sub-4 pitcher that's closer to, 26 to 27 plus % strikeout rate with, average commands. The ballpark isn't great, but I think you look at the success that he had, the mentality that he has, his ability to make adjustments and improvements. That has me buying into Schlittler maybe a little bit more than consensus does. And I like a lot of these pitchers. Like, I like Sproat, especially now that he's in Milwaukee. There could be more opportunity there. Milwaukee, I think, arguably might have the best pitching development of starters of anybody in the big leagues. And that's not a shot at Seattle, but they've done more with less. Like
Yeah.
all the guys Seattle kind of has. Now, Brian Woo's a different story, but Gilbert, Kirby, some of those guys, like those guys were big name prospects, first rounders, immediately coming into Pro Bowl. Where I think you look at, what they did with Brandon Woodruff, what they did with Corbin Burns and Freddie Peralta and some of the other arms, Quinn Priester last year. Like it seems like everybody comes in and becomes the best version of themselves. So I feel pretty positive about him. I really like Peyton Tolley. I just don't know what his role is going to be throughout the season. For guys I'm a little lower on, Brett Lauder, I just don't think the stuff is that good. There's a ton of pitchability here. Now that you factor in some injuries as well, it just gives me a little bit more concern. I also wonder, is he going to be on the opening day roster? Could he end up back in Louisville, for the first month or so of the season? I'm a little less high on Hunter Barco. I just kind of think it's a back-end starter that I'm not crazy about. And then Logan Henderson. It stinks because I like the pitcher Logan Henderson. I'm just concerned in terms of like how he's going to hold up, especially with the flare-up he had last year. Is that going to pop up again? He's not the biggest guy. It's very fastball heavy, etc. So we'll see. We'll see where that goes. I like the player. I don't really like the price or the investment at this point in time because I think there is, with any of these guys, there's an injury potentially on the horizon. But it feels like that's a little bit more of a risky pick to take there. And yeah, I mean, this is a really good group, like I said from the top. So, I don't want to slaughter any of these guys. And there's other guys. Blade Tidwell to me is probably a reliever. I've never thought he was a starter. And the other guy I'll call out here that I like is River Ryan. He was really good before the injury. Watching him the other night in his first appearance, the stuff seemed like it was back. I think he hit 98 in that inning of work. Maybe he doesn't get a starter's role. Maybe he's limited in terms of innings this year. But from a dynasty perspective, I still think this is a time where you can buy that guy at a lower price and maybe the upside's even higher. Will he be a starter with the Dodgers long term? Will he get traded somewhere else? I don't know. But I think he is going to be a viable big league pitcher for a really long time. And the price tag's low.